Hi, thanks for being here. I'm going to wait just a couple more minutes for people to join. Thank you all for being here. I'm excited to share. I've been thinking a lot about desire, and I have my own philosophy about desire, that our desire is how we evolve. Our desire is speaking to us for a reason. And so I'm not that familiar with doing IG Live. So if you have any questions, feel free to add them, and I'll sort of share my spiel and answer questions as I can. So again, thank you all for being here. And so for those of you not familiar with my philosophy, I feel like our desire is our evolutionary driver. Like everything grows from our desire. And we, especially women, have been sort of trained to believe that we should put the needs of others before our own. And I think that's a real mistake, because sort of like when you go on an airplane and they say, if you have a child, put the oxygen mask on yourself first. Like, we can only be of service to others if we take care of ourselves first, and that's not selfish. And so the reason why we want to follow our desire is because if we are living our passion-filled life, if we are following our enthusiasm and following our desire, like, we make this world a better place for others. And so allow yourself the gift and the freedom to follow your desire. And if you don't know what your desire is, that's okay. Just get familiar with that inner voice. Get familiar with when you are doing something and you lose track of time. That is a clue. Like, that is something that is in this realm of your desire. Okay? So our desire is our evolutionary driver. When we follow our desire, we are stepping into the adventure of our life, because we don't know what's next. Like, this is the adventurous life, right? Okay. So we have our desire, we want to follow it. And the question is, like, there's a little bit of mystery in desire. Like, we have our egoic desire, right? Like, I want a nice house, I want a fancy car, I want great vacations. Like, there's a part of that is egoic. And there's a part of it that, like, comes from inside of us. Okay. So we just want to recognize that we have different desires, and there's a spectrum of desire. There's that deep inner longing that it comes from the part of us that doesn't have a name, if that makes sense. And so I don't want to lose track of where I'm going with this. Like I said, I don't do lives very often. So we also want to, so with this idea of that desire has some mystery to it, right? Like, we don't know why we love certain things. We just do. So in a way, our desire is very much inspired. So what I want to offer this today that's a little bit different is that, or that I haven't contemplated much, is that our desire is actually is calling us, right? So it's not us longing and sort of pushing towards our desires, or feeling like we can't, access our desires, or that they're out of reach, or that we're selfish or whatever. Like, think of your desire as something else is calling you toward it. Okay. And so with that in mind, think that, okay, you have a desire in you and you want to move towards it, but there's also this mystery and this inspiration and this, I don't want to necessarily call it spirit, but if we allow some space for our desire to be in this realm of mystery and the unknown and inspiration and what's possible, then it's the fact that we have a desire is telling us that it is possible. Okay. So because you have a desire, don't poo-poo your desire like, oh, that's too big, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not ready for that, or whatever. The fact that we feel a desire is proof positive that it's possible. And not only that it's possible, but there's this external force that's like calling us like, hey, we want you to want this. We want you to want this for a reason. And that hunger and that longing is showing us it's possible. So we just need to follow that path of whatever it is that's our desire, because if we keep following that, we're going to be on this adventurous path. We're going to become our highest potential. We're already becoming our highest potential. Our highest potential is already in us, and it's a matter of excavating these layers and these core beliefs and things that are getting in our way. So just recognize there's this magnetic force between desire, like our desire and what we want, and the energy of the cosmos. The fact that we feel a desire means that it's possible. It is pulling us toward it as much as we want to move toward it. So I think that's the most important takeaway, is like, understand your desires are meant for you. Our desires are meant for us. Following our desire is how we reach our highest potential, and it's how we live the adventure of our life, like the true adventure. And also realize that what happens is once we start following our desire, it changes, and all of a sudden we desire something else. And once we move towards it, we might get more information that it's not what we want, or we might get there and realize, okay, what's next? What's next? And so when we follow our desire, do you see how that's how like we evolve up this spiral? Because we move towards our desire, and then we access it, or it changes, and then something else comes up, and then we move toward that, and then something else comes, and then something else comes, and before we know it, we look back and we're on our own heroic journey. Okay, so the fact that we have a desire is our proof that it's possible, okay? Because we don't know where our desires come from. Like, it's not for the fancy car on the commercial or whatever, right? Like, that's the egoic desire, and that's not what I'm speaking to, even though it can be intertwined with this, right? So just recognize, if you just listen to your desire and know the fact that it has reached you and connected with you is your acknowledgement that it is possible. And so if you just keep moving toward it, like, okay, I hear you, that's a desire, I feel it too, I'm going to keep moving towards it, that things are going to open up and you're going to experience your life in a different way. So with everything I do and everything that I'm focused on, it starts with desire. Okay, everything starts with desire. And we have desires in our internal environment, how we want to feel, what we want to experience on an internal level, right? And then we have our desire for things we want to experience in our outer life, in our outer world. And so just recognize that when you have a desire, there are certain things in your outer life that want to be satisfied because you want to feel a certain way in your inner world, right? These are the values that we have. We have these core values, and our desires are helping us fulfill those core desires, okay? Thank you, Fee, for your sweet message. So the second part, so once you realize, okay, my desire is really important. My desire is life communicating with me and telling me, hey, this is possible. We want you to move in this direction. That's why this desire feels so good. Then you want to recognize, okay, there's an outer world experience that I want to satisfy. I want to enjoy. And it's telling me something about my internal values. Then you want to look at, okay, what are the things that are tripping me up? What are the things that are preventing me from going after what I want, or from thinking that I can even have it, that I'm worth having it, that it's possible? Because those are the obstacles. So we have obstacles in our outer life, and we have obstacles in our inner world, our erroneous core beliefs. Okay, so just so you're following me, we have a desire, and we have a desire for an external experience and an internal experience. and it's inspired, right? It's coming, like there's a mystery behind desire. We don't know why we desire what we want. We don't know why we feel passionate about certain things, but it's related to our core values. So then we want to look at what's going on in my outer life and what's going on in my inner world, my inner landscape, that is blocking me from getting what I want. And this goes to our belief system and what's showing up in what we're feeling in our inner world, or what we're believing in our inner world, is showing up in our outer life. Now, here's the cool thing, is it's showing up in our physical home too. So every room in our home communicates to a specific area of our life. And it's communicating to a specific area of our mind, right? So a certain area, whether it's finance or love or time or vitality or whatever, every area of our home and every area of our mind is communicating with us, and it's showing up in our life. So if we don't like what's going on within a specific area of our mind or our life, we want to get really curious about what our home is telling us about it. Because whether we realize it or not, subconsciously, the way we are living in our habits, in our routines, in our day is showing up in our space. Okay, so this is a holistic design. This is like why this brand of holistic design is different than other versions, because we're taking a holistic view of our entire life and what's working and what's not working, because our home is like the decompression chamber. It's this liminal space between how we communicate in our mind, how we live in our mind, and how we live out in our life. And so it's really, really fertile for understanding what's going on in the inner landscape, but also like redesigning the inner landscape. And when we work on redesigning the inner landscape by using the space of our home, things start changing in our outer life. And so what we do is we're using our physical space to make the subconscious more conscious. So does anyone have any questions? The real driver of this conversation is about desire, and everything starts with our desire. Everything starts with recognizing where our enthusiasm is and where our passion is, and letting that seed inform the rest of our life. Because if every single one of us follows our desire, if every single one of us feels enthusiasm and passion about our life, and waking up in the morning and communicating with other people and eye contact and all of these things, like, we cannot help but make this world a better place, right? Because that's contagious, and it all starts with our desire. And it can be for a piece of chocolate, it can be for a scoop of ice cream, but it's all like, what's the driver behind it? I mean, the real desire is what I call the big D desire. And it's that desire that comes from within us that we can't explain. It just lights us up. And so I think if I could wave my magic wand, I would create a world where everyone just followed their desire and everyone followed what felt really good. And with that said, the other thing that comes up when we're following our desire, and it comes up no matter what, is our discomfort, right? So our discomfort is sort of haunting us, right? Like, we all, if we've reached adulthood, we have a certain amount of programming in our mind. And so we have to go through these layers of, one, recognizing the disparity between the person we were raised to be by either our family or our culture or society or whatever, but the person we feel we really are. And so that's where our discomfort grows, is we are right here and we want to be right here, or we were born to be this person, but yet we feel like we're this person. And so there's this discomfort in the middle. And so what we want to do is recognize that our discomfort is actually our desire in disguise. So we don't want to be afraid to face it. Okay, I'm going to answer a question. How do you explain to someone what is a desire some people aren't able to define what a heartfelt desire is. Okay, so let's say that you've always wanted to play the guitar and you don't know why. No one in your family is musical, and it's just something you've wanted. And you've been raised to, I don't know, believe that you can have hobbies, but you can't really like make money doing that. I don't know if this is the right answer or, a very good answer. But basically I have two types of desire. I have the big D desire and the little d desire. And the little d desire is like the desire of the ego. Now, it doesn't mean these are mutually exclusive, okay? So I can have a desire for a fancy car, and I would typically call that the little d desire. This is like my ego wants to have a fancy sports car so that I can prove that I am worthy, or I'm good enough, or I'm successful enough, or I'm sexy enough, or whatever, right? So when we want something that is supplementing who we are, if it's bolstering who we are, I would call that a little d desire. Now, there's also the desire for, I have got to get some ice cream right now, or I have got to have popcorn or chocolate, or I've got to go shopping. Now, and so there's different ones. So just to simplify this, if we desire something that we feel is going to bolster how we present ourselves out in the world, that's little d desire. If we have a desire that it just keeps whispering to us, and it's like this sort of gnawing, like, I don't know why, but like, I've got to go to Greece. I don't know why, but like, I just keep being called to Greece, or I just want to take salsa lessons. Like, I don't know why. Like, I don't even really know what salsa is, but I just feel like I need to follow this. Then that's the difference. Does that help? Like, little d desire is like, it's coming from the insecurities. Like, I need to make myself feel better about myself. And so I want to do this because I think that if I don't have gray hair, then it means I'll be younger, and I don't want to get old. And so I'm just going to dye my hair blonde instead of let it go gray, because I have an insecurity about feeling like I'm getting old, or I don't want people to think I'm old, or whatever. But, I don't know. So anyway, so one is like calling from within us, and it doesn't matter what planet we live on. It's just like, I've got to go do this. I have no idea why, or I love this so much, I just want to do this every day, versus I feel like I'm supposed to do this, or this will make me feel better about myself. So I think I said that enough, right? Okay. Great. Thanks for asking the question. All right. Does anyone have any questions? I really just, like I said, if I could wave my magic wand, and if everyone would just follow their big D desire and recognize that our desire isn't selfish, that there is a force, and you can call it God, you can call it the universe, whatever. There is a force that is in cooperation with us. And the way it communicates with us is through our feelings, okay? And so when we want something, when we have a deeper desire, when we have a calling, it's for a reason. Like, this is how we evolve, and this is how we live the adventure of our life. Okay, so there's another question. Any advice if you feel you're being called to upshift where you live, but you don't know what you desire in the kind of place you live? Okay, so I want to understand this a little bit better. Any advice if you feel you're being called to like upshift or up level maybe where you live, but you don't know what you desire in the kind of place you live? Okay, so I think what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you don't feel like your living situation or where you live is where you want to be, but you're not sure where you want to be. Is that it? And you can just give me a thumbs up. So if you're not happy with where you live and you want something different, but you don't know exactly what that is, then I would say just first start with curiosity. Okay. Like, okay, great. So this space doesn't feel right to me. I'm not sure why. And I would say bring more curiosity to that. Okay. So, just get curious. Like, what do I not like? Do I not like the geographic location? Do I not like the neighborhood? Do I not like the feel of the building? Like, get more curious about what it is. And I think the more curious you are, then the more information will come. And then if that wasn't enough, ask me. I'm going to try to get to all these questions. Yeah, so ask me the question again, or ask me another question about that and I'll answer. I'm recovering from a surgery after 10 years of discomfort. Now I can build my physical self to match my inner, and being pretty is one of the reasons I haven't wanted to exercise before my repairs. Okay, so after 10 years of coming, now I feel, yeah, so I'm not sure if you're asking me a question about about the surgery and the being pretty part. So if you have a specific question, let me know. I would love to answer it. What room to start in? What room to start in is a great question. And let's see. Okay, so what room to start in? It really depends. I would say look at what's going, okay, so like, let's pretend I'm your fairy godmother and I can wave my magic wand and grant you whatever wish you want. I would want to know, what area of your life are you wanting to change the most? Like, if we could change one area of your life, and it's worth noting, if you go to my website and go to the free stuff and download the wheel, and you can just draw the wheel if you don't have a way to print it out, just draw the wheel, and that will help you get really clear on what area or what areas of your life need the most help. So if you want to enhance your relationship with someone else, like your lover, or if you want to call one in, look at your bedroom. Our bedroom is reflective of how we self-love, how we're able to receive love. And so if love is the issue, then you want to go to the bedroom. Because if we don't have a good relationship with ourselves, if we are not very self-loving, especially with how we communicate with ourselves up here, it's going to be really challenging to attract a lover, someone who is going to love us the way we want to be loved. They're going to love us the way we need to learn how to love ourselves, okay? So I would start in the bedroom with love life. If you need to improve your relationship with yourself, then, and how you treat yourself and like your self-care, I would start in the bathroom. The conversation that we have with ourselves in the bathroom, in the mirror, is very telling about our relationship with ourselves and the 50 to 70,000 thoughts we have every single day. Our bathroom is going to reveal sort of the general theme around that. If you have issues around like confidence out in public, or how you present yourself in the world, or just how comfortable you are out in the world, it's interesting. Let's see. So mine is relationship to, so Rowana, if you don't mind. So it says, so mine is relationship, do want to the bedroom. So I think, did I answer your question? I just want to make sure. So we have 50,000 to 75,000 thoughts every single day right here. Okay, that's a lot to manage. And so most of it is unconscious. That means we are unconsciously aware of the majority of our thoughts. So how do we make the subconscious more conscious? We use the space of our home. And so that's what holistic design and all my courses and work is really about, is one, following your desire and going after what you want, and reprogramming your subconscious mind, all those thoughts that we don't even have access to. using our physical space to access the subconscious mind so that we can change that erroneous programming that's holding us back from what we most desire. Because there's a cycle that happens every single minute, and it's a feedback loop, and it starts with what we experience with our five senses. And what happens is we see things in our environment, and they instantly are cueing the subconscious mind. And this is sort of, I go down rabbit holes sometimes. But anyway, there's a feedback loop, and it all begins within our physical environment, and it sets off this sequence, like this domino effect of triggering subconscious thoughts from mostly our first 7 years of life, which is a little bit disturbing, because that means that most of the thoughts that are happening in our subconscious mind are thoughts and beliefs that aren't even ours. They belong to the people who raised us and to the beliefs of society and our community. So anyway, once we experience something in our physical environment through our five senses, this sequence of events and thoughts start to get triggered within our subconscious, and that affects how we feel, right? Because if we have this background noise of, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not successful enough, you're doing things wrong, blah, 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 that affects how we feel, like with an instant, right? So we may find ourselves in a bad mood and not even know how it happened, but there was a trigger, there was a cue, and that affects the energy that we're putting out. And so if you believe that thoughts become things, then we want to get really curious about how our environment is triggering and instigating these thoughts. Because so it starts, you see something, you experience something in your environment, and then you have a thought. That thought creates a feeling, and that feeling creates an energy. And whatever that energy is like a chemical signal, like it's literally affecting all of the hormones and the chemicals in our body. And so that changes how we're being in the world. But the most important thing is we have this electromagnetic signal. And so it's changing what we're attracting and what we're radiating. So we're radiating out this like this chemical cocktail, and we're attracting the exact same thing. And so all of this basically starts with our environment and our five senses. And so that's why we want to get really curious about what our home is communicating to what is like triggering and cueing to our subconscious mind. And I know I'm doing this because I have this feedback loop. And so we want to get curious about how our environment is communicating and what it's communicating to our mind, because it's affecting how we think, how we feel, and what we're radiating and attracting out in the world. And so in this way, our home acts as like a component of manifesting. Our home is like a catalyst for helping us manifest what we want. And here's an important thing to remember is that we are manifesting all the time. Like we cannot help but manifest. We're manifesting creatures. And so we just don't like to call it manifesting unless we're creating something we actually want. And so that's sort of the good news and the bad news is that we already are manifesting. We just have to understand how we're manifesting so that we can manifest in the direction that we want. And so to me, the key is, okay, our environment, because our environment, it's communicating with the subconscious mind. Okay. So the subconscious mind is like our powerhouse. And right now, 95% of our subconscious mind, we don't even have access to. It's based on the programs that we received in the first, like the developmental years of our life, the first 7 years, or really intense experience. And so if we can access the subconscious mind, if we can redirect and redesign the subconscious mind so it perpetuates more of the things we want instead of the things that we were raised to believe, then all of a sudden we change that that manifesting direction, right? Because we're all manifesting. We just don't know how we're manifesting. And so once we understand how we manifest, then we can clean up the subconscious mind by using our physical space, our home, right? Because we have so many habitual patterns and routines that happen at home that it's a really great like canvas for accessing the subconscious mind. So anyway, do y'all have any questions about that? I ran about half an hour, which is what I kind of wanted to keep it to. If you have any questions, please feel free to DM me, or I am going to add this recording so that you can access it later on if you want. And again, thank you so much for being here. Listen to your desire, follow your desire. It is how we make this world a better place for others. It is how we reach our highest potential. It's how we live the adventure of our own life. And our desire is going to keep changing, right? It's going to evolve with us. And that's the exciting thing. Like if we follow our desire passionately, it's going to turn into something else amazing, and it's going to turn into something amazing. And who knows what that will be. And I believe that's the life that we were meant to live, is the life of the unknown, the adventure of the unknown. So thank you for being here. And if you're not following me, I'd love for you to follow along. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And thanks for the great comments and the great questions. And I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. See you next time.